Now, I'm gonna go ahead and get into some of the nitty-gritty right now. Okay. Okay. Now, the reason why I wrote that is because it's very true. And it kind of goes back to what I learned prior when I said that I wasn't getting any likes. That was really the reason why. Because I was expecting everyone to like my stuff, right? And I was like, oh, I have great content. They're going to like my stuff. Why wouldn't they like my stuff? That's kind of how I felt. But the real truth is, and that wasn't the right way to think. The real truth is, in order to get, you have to give, right? That is the rule of thumb in life. You do have to give in order to get. That's just the way it goes. So if you're not liking people's content, what are you doing? It's definitely a matter of taking the initiative to like somebody's page first, right? Because I mean, it makes no sense to just sit back and wait for everyone to like your stuff that you can't like their stuff. For instance, she's like, I'm so freaking excited. For those that know, thank you, right? And it doesn't take long for me to just like that. It's like, I'm not even going to go into the nitty gritty yet, but I'm just going to the simple basics of it makes sense to like other people's content because if you like their content, they're inevitably 9 out of 10 times going to like your content because you took the time to like their content and to see what they had to say. You took the effort to find out what's going on in their life. So if you took the initiative to find out what's going on in that person's life, why wouldn't they want to find out what's going on in your life? It only makes sense. It really does make sense. And, people have cool pictures and cool things that, we can always learn from. So, it's very, very smart to look at the feed to see what people are posting. Now, I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say that I'm always looking at my news feed because I'm not. Um, I'm definitely not in my news feed like how I could be or should be. Um, I do get caught up sometimes getting other things taken care of. But when I do find the time, and I am trying to implement it way more, but as a beginner, it is very important for you to definitely like people's content every day. That's very important. Now I'm going to get to some of the nitty gritty stuff, okay? Now, here's the real deal. The way that Facebook algorithm works, it works in a way that the more people that you like, the more that they're going to put your posts up on top. Now, here's what I mean. Okay. Hypothetically, say if I were to post something, which I'm not going to right now, but as an example, say if I were to post, right? Say if I were to post that like at right now where I'm at, it's 10:45 p.m. Okay, and sometimes I'm up pretty late. So say if I were to post this post at about, I don't know, 2 a.m., probably like 2 or 3 a.m., what would happen is most people are sleeping. So when they wake up, this post is going to be at the top of their news feed. Why? Because I took the time out to go to their page and like their content. So the way that Facebook algorithm works is because I did that, they are now going to show that person my content. Okay? So for example, let me give you one more example. Let's just go to, let's see here. Whose page should I go on? Let me just go to, okay, for instance, I'll go on his page, all right? She's cute. Okay. Now, say if I were to go on Mitch's page, right? And I'll just do it right now, right? And it really doesn't take that much time, you know? I pretty much skimmed through what he said right here, and it's really good content, so I'm gonna like it, right? I agree with him. Why not like it? I like that quote. All right, so I'm just taking really like literally just a minute to like all his stuff, okay? And what is that going to do, guys? It's going to allow Facebook and the way that they work, it's going to say, hey, Hannah likes a lot of his stuff. And what's going to happen? It is, oh, wow, it's nice. It is going to make sure that when I post something, the next thing I post, say if I post something right now or tomorrow, it is going to show up on his newsfeed at the top, right? Because I have liked so many of his things that Facebook can't help but to put my stuff on his newsfeed at the top. And that's where a lot of people have a misconception because, and I'm not going to lie, before I say what I was going to say, I'm going to say this first. I'm not gonna lie. I do like to like a lot of people. Like for instance, say if I go on somebody's page, I'll just go through like a liking spree and I'll just like so much of their stuff. I mean, I'm like, why not? I'm here. I'm not always on his page all the time. Why not like all his stuff right now while I'm here? You know, so it's, I mean, it's kind of like if you're there, why not like and look at their stuff, look at a lot of their stuff while you're there? You might as well. When's the next time you're going to be on their page? You know, so for instance, if you like 20 of their different posts, that's going to be super amazing. And side note, especially if that's a new person that you just added as a friend, can you imagine having a new friend and you look at your notifications like right here? And you open it and you see that the same person liked 20 of your stuff, that's going to put like a spark in your head and you're going to be like, oh, wow, this person's incredible. Like they took the time out to look at 20 of my posts and let alone like it. And they didn't have to do that, but they chose to. That's pretty awesome. I'm going to look at their page and like their stuff as well. And another thing that that's going to do is because you're liking their stuff, it's going to make them think like, hey, you know, I wonder why they liked all my stuff. Like, obviously, they probably have something in common with me. So it's going to make them think about you and wonder why you did that, right? And that can spark a conversation in itself. I mean, I've had a lot of times where people message me and they're like, hey, you know, why did you like so much of my stuff? Like, that's crazy. And I'm like, hey, you know, why not? And then I kind of go into the spiel of, you know, well, you know, Facebook, you know, is super cool and I love being able to connect with different people. And, you know, I wasn't on your page before, so I figured, why not? You know, I could definitely take the time out to get to know who you are while I'm here. You know, I mean, you're worth it. And I provide value to them in the sense of letting them know that they're worth the time. They're worth my time, you know, because time is the biggest commodity, right? So they're worth my time, my valuable time to take out to look at what they have to provide to the world. It creates fast rapport and it builds a lot of retention between you and that person because it allows that person to realize, hey, you know, this person cares about me, so I'm going to find out about them too. Okay? So that's very important, guys. And another thing is, let me get back to what I was saying. So pretty much if you're going to somebody's page and you're liking a lot of their statuses, Facebook is going to see it as, okay, this person obviously is, this is how Facebook is thinking. They're thinking of it as, all right, this person obviously likes the, like for instance, Mitch, Facebook is going to be thinking, all right, Hannah obviously likes Mitch's content, so I'm going to put Hannah's content in front of Mitch. Okay. And the, uh, what's that word I'm looking for? The misunderstanding that a lot of people have is they just assume that they don't have to go to other people's pages and they're just automatically going to get a bunch of likes. Now, that might be the case. I'm not saying it's not, because I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Lately, I have been doing that. I'm not saying that's good, but lately I haven't been on Facebook as much, going around, liking other people's stuff. But when I first wanted to get a power presence on Facebook, I followed it every day. I followed these rules that I'm giving you every day. I would go on people's pages and literally like the crap out of their stuff, and not just stupid stuff. I would literally look at their content, take my time out, and see what I really liked about their stuff and what they had to offer, and what it did is it made me, it gave me a lot of value, because people saw it as, okay, this girl really does care about what I have to say. And where has she been? A lot of people were saying to me, where have you been? I haven't seen you in forever. I didn't even remember that you were on Facebook. Now, why would they say that? They would say that because they didn't get to see my page for a long time. Because you got to think about it. Okay, let me give you an example. I have 2,256 friends at the moment. Okay, now, do you really think that I'm going to be able to look at 2,000 people's different Facebook pages every day? No, that is not going to happen, because I am not going to be on Facebook like that all day. That's just absurd to look at 2,000 profiles a day. That's crazy, right? Now, a lot of people think like the more people, the better on Facebook. Now, it is cool to have a lot of friends. I'm not saying it isn't. But with Facebook, the way that it works is it's not always going to show you 2,000 of those people's pages, the more friends you have on Facebook, the less you're going to see people's content and the more of the person. Okay, for instance, say if have you ever realized that sometimes on Facebook you're seeing the same people and you're not seeing new people on your news feed? And that really does have a lot to do with it. So the way to get more variety is by going, just, take the time out. For instance, if I go to my friends, right? Scan through your friends to see, just scan through it real fast and be like, hey, who haven't I talked to lately? Oh crap, I haven't talked to him lately. Let me just hit him up and like some of his stuff. It doesn't take too long. Just go through different friends to see who you haven't seen on their page, who you haven't seen lately on your news feed. And as an example, let me give you an example. Another great feature that they have now is you can go ahead and, let's see here, friends, you can also put get notifications, right? And you could put close friends. So you can make sure that they're going to be in your news feed, which is very good. But once again, if you're doing that with 2,000 people, which you're not going to do because not everybody you want to see their news feed. But if you were doing that with 2,000 people and you really did have them as close friends, you probably wouldn't see all their different pages every day. So the reason why I'm reiterating this and I'm really going deep into this is because I want you to understand that if you want to have more of a presence on Facebook, you definitely want to take the time out and really understand the concept behind why it is important to like other people's content. Because by you doing that, it's going to allow you to have more people come back to your page.